Joey, how are you, brother?
What's up, Danny?
What's
Own your
up?
gifts. 3 or 2, we're not even sure. What's going on?
Yeah, guys, welcome back. This is season 2, episode 3. Please
Yes.
excuse me for writing up. It was episode 2 in the in the promo. This is Own Your Gifts. It's a show created by both myself and my legendary co-host here, Joey Palaro. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to help you teach and share age-old cutting-edge tips, tools, exercises, and hacks to plug into the higher force of gratitude. Today's episode is on a wonderful topic, and this is absolutely one of those foundations of building gratitude, and it's service. Joey, we're going to have a bit of a chat about service. I've got some exciting things that we can do throughout this chat. How's life, mate?
Oh, wow. I guess I could complain, but that isn't going to help my, me plugging into the force of gratitude. I love the topic of service. As most of our listeners and followers will know, that Danny and I are both addicts in recovery, and one of the common threads of people who are addicted that I at least I'll speak for myself, is self-centeredness. So the only way I know to be getting out of myself is to be thinking about other people. And, also, I don't talk about this often, but Danny and I both got and remain sober amongst other modalities in a 12-step program. Mentors in that program always told me that was the most important thing that I needed to do to get outside myself and to get outside my head, is to be of service to somebody else. And whenever in early recovery, when I would, call my a fellow in recovery and barrage them with my normal complaining and feelings of self-pity and victimhood, they would always direct me to a page in our owner's manual in that program. It's a blue book, and I had one of those tough ass old school 2x4 sponsors, which is what I really needed, and God and the universe always seems to give me what I need, and it rarely looks like what I think it's going to look like. But he would always steer me to page 20, and what it says in page 20 is, our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depends on the constant thought of others and how we can help meet their needs. And he would typically say, I'd be in the middle of my complaining, how I was feeling, and the what my life looked like, and he'd be like, who'd you help today? And I'd be like, he said, well, go help somebody, then call me back, and then slammed the phone on me. So it's a solution. It's a solution to most disempowering states of mind, and it's something that I'm looking forward to talking about today.
It's hard to get your head around that stuff in the early days, especially when we just, put down the drink and the drugs, and we hear this message from people who have had experience before us telling us it's about helping others. Like, go away. This is what I thought. Like, fuck them. What about me? Like poor me, which goes back to that thing you were saying, Joey. Everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for dropping your comments. Morning to you, Lucas. Good to see you. And guys, if you're joining us for the first time, please drop your comment in the comment section. Let us know where you're watching from, and if you're returning, which I just want to say thank you from both Joey and I for your continued encouragement and support. Joey, that topic service is what you just touched on there. It's hard to get your head around that in the early days, and honestly, and when I say the early days, I'm talking the first couple of years of my sobriety. I was incredibly selfish, self-centered, self-seeking, and, mate, I still am in many, many ways. But I did start to understand that cliche or that statement around the opposite to addiction is connection. And once I started to get my head around that, so if I connect with other people, if I listen more so, but if I talk to other people and I express my stuff, I start to get this. Oh, mate, it's hard to explain what happens, the power of that connection. But look, and even more so, and what service for me is about helping others. And look, guys, if you're watching and you're not sure what service is exactly, I remember thinking that as well. It's such a wide. It could be anything from just a smile. I think, Joey. It's really just that simple. A smile at another human being could certainly be service. Sharing, listening. There's so many different aspects to that topic of service. So it's such a simple thing that every single one of us can do and can begin practicing on a daily basis to improve our levels of happiness, right?
I love it. And typically how we've been starting on the show is sharing something that we've done well today and something that we're struggling with that we're going to aim to do better tomorrow. Have you given that any thought? I know it's only 11 a.m. there. I know you did something well other than going to the gym because you're smiling.
Thanks, Joey. And hey, Smitty, thanks for joining us from work. Joey, yeah, thanks for the reminder. You're right, mate. Currently in Sydney, look, and trust, this sounds a bit like at the moment we're in a lockdown. You guys are probably still in the lockdown over there, are you? Or
yeah, it's pretty open right now.
Good. Yeah. Well, currently we've had some shit going down and we're in this lockdown. So, and I had my daughter for 6 days prior to yesterday. And I found it hard to get out, so I had to do some exercise. So I had a couple of days off. But the last 2 days I have hauled my ass out of bed and I've gone out in my front yard and done, some rigorous exercise, which I knew I needed, but I think I also needed a break. There's a bit of a justification. So yeah, today I did manage to do that. I've eaten a healthy breakfast. I'm back off the cigarettes, the vape. So I'm killing it in that respect. So yes, I want to acknowledge that I've done that well today. Something I could do better. Well, I don't think there's anything going there. Just joking. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that I could do better. One thing would be that, and this is a bit hard, but man, I've put on a lot of weight the last couple of months. Or since I broke my leg, really 12 months ago, and I just got such a terrible habit of just binging on sugar. I love sugar, I've been eating a block of chocolate every single night, pretty much for the last 12 years, at least, a large family block. So I'm trying to get rid of that habit. I think I need to drink more water. So yesterday I failed at drinking my 2.5 liters of water or so, which I hear helps. So yeah, I could do that better tomorrow. Today I need to focus on drinking water.
There you go.
What about you, Joey?
When you say block, what are we talking about here? Like a brick? Like a block of chocolate? What are we talking about? A square? Are we talking about like a...
Joey, I shit you not, right? I'm talking about a 280 gram block, family block. But that's actually been quite generous. Like there's often a lunchtime block as well. So I've been doing that for like over a decade, every single day. Like I'm a sloth. I'm a pig. I've got that defect of character. Is it gluttony? But I train really hard to maintain it. Otherwise, but it's no good for me. It's poisonous. It's toxic. Whatever. I love it too, but.
Yeah, I struggle. Sugar and food is something that I've struggled with in recovery, and I'm doing pretty well in that department right now. But nobody's perfect, and we can always restart our day at any time. And a block of chocolate isn't going to kill you. It's not like you're sticking a needle in your arm. So gotta be gentle with ourselves. You're looking good, so that's good. So for me, what I've done well today is I really woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, which is typical in varying degrees. for me. I usually wake up to my disease, my lower nature in a certain amount of fear, and I don't believe that I'll ever be absolved from that, which is fine since I have tools and I have a keen awareness of it, and I have tools in order to be able to shift it. But today in particular, I got a lot of stuff going on, some family stuff. I have, some my little brother's got major health issues, and I've had to sever a relationship in my life that really was causing me a lot of pain. And so I really woke up playing with that this morning, that resentment, and resentment is for people in recovery, is infinitely grave, and for most people it'll definitely, I mean, at the very least it's toxic, and it just really is stupid. And I just woke up like replaying over, like I'm arguing with this person in my head, and this happened days ago. And I played with it for a little while, and however, I was able to turn that around. And how I typically do that is through my physiology. I get my heart rate up a little bit. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I do pray, because it works. And I ask for guidance, and then I turn to gratitude, and I try to, and I was able to like look at that relationship, and know that even though it was painful, and I played a part in making a mess out of it, that whenever I'm in pain and I come out the other side, I usually grow. So I feel like I did well today. I was really able to, turn the tables. I spent a little extra time, getting my head screwed on straight this morning. So I think I did that well. And, what I can do better, I think is, staying a little more focused on my purpose. My purpose, I mean, starts with my sobriety. Second is my health, and third is my business. And sometimes when I have to be working on my business, and that's an area that is outside of my comfort zone, I will turn towards those other higher priority values, and it could be sometimes evasive. I'll spend extra time exercising, or I'll spend extra time in some sort of spiritual development, and and my head will sometimes be in the clouds when it needs to be on the ground grinding at growing my business. So I can do that a little bit better tomorrow.
Yeah, don't worry, Joey. I absolutely. Is that avoiding?
Avoiding? Yeah, avoiding. Yeah,
But
and I trick myself. I'm like, well, it's like, if
yeah,
I'm in better physical condition, and I'm in better mental and emotional and spiritual condition, I'll be able to show up better for my clients, and be able to be more creative. And a part of that's true, but I'm clearly
absolutely.
evading my responsibilities.
I think it comes back to that balance that we know that is necessary as well. Like, so if there's too much of that any one thing, we're missing the mark.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone who's watching. Hey, to Russell and to Smitty. It's good to have you guys with us. Also, all right, Joey, that's great. So look, service. One thing, look, I'm sitting at my desk, at my work desk, and I've got this little cup here, right? Can you hang on? Where is it? One of the boys at my work, don't want to break anonymity. They made this cup, and I've actually got 3 or 4 in my on my dish rack in there too, and it reminds me of service, because one of the things that I love about the work that I do and the life that I have, certainly, this past decade or so, is I love making other people feel good. Like maybe, and like I love to make people smile. One of the things that often gets said to me, and I'm incredibly grateful for this. You know, I've got a bit of a smile. I'm usually smiling. Is that people remember that smile, and to add to that smile a name is incredibly important. So this is one of my biggest tips around service. Okay, especially if you're someone who might be, I don't know, a little bit further along than someone else. The incredible importance around going up to that person saying, hey, mate, how are you? Calling them by their name. Hey, Lee, how are you? I bet you I probably did it to Lee. Hey, Lee, how are you? And giving them a smile. You know, that momentary little introduction and hello carries a lot of weight, you know. So, yeah, look, I could go on all day, and we are going to go on for a little while around service, but I look forward to. But before we go on to the next bit, I've got these character cards. You've probably heard me share. Oh, wrong one. You've probably heard me share my experiences with these character cards. Today's one is on service, and I just, you know, the practice of service, okay? And I want to acknowledge Steve Ferrugia for his awesome company ShareTree, and who put out over about 150 different character traits that I often reflect on and live by, you know. But the practice of service is I look for opportunities to be useful. Boom. I work with wholehearted enthusiasm. I do thoughtful things for my family and my friends. I don't wait to be asked when something needs doing. I give freely of my time and attention, and I use my gifts to make a difference in the world. That's beautiful. And there's a little quote here at the end: is everybody can be great, because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You only have to have a full heart of grace, a soul generated by love. Boom. ShareTree character cards. These are the gold, Joey.
Where do you get those, Danny?
Mate, you will definitely be able to get one. Let me put this legend up on screen. Steve Ferrugia, he's the CEO or the founder of ShareTree. They help bring team culture into the workplace, and part
of that gratitude Facebook page.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, gratitude. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. It rings a bell.
And anyone out there, I've actually got like right here with me, and I think it's important that I share this. I've got like probably 200 cards here, character trait cards. Amazing things like you know, the practice of mindfulness, the practice of bravery, simplicity, diligence, understanding. Like I can pull out one of these cards on any given day, read it and go, wow, that's what I need to focus on for today. And I think there's many other uses for it. So yeah, and then they've also got a bit of a quote on the front explaining the meaning of service as well. So yeah, big shout out to Steve. You're an absolute legend. And yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why service is so important is it, at least for me, like I'm going to be completely honest, like that is not my first response to anything. Typically, my mind is geared towards getting what I need, you know. So
Joey, there's a question here on screen for you before we lose Smitty. Motivating me to deal with resentment. That's good, Smitty. I'm glad we can help in that way. Should I talk to them or pray and let it go? It's a good question, eh? Like, so it's more like, should I try and fix it or should I just let it go? Joey, what do you reckon? It's to you.
Let it go is a letting go, detaching with love. To me is a bit of a magical term. I'm in a place, I like steps. I like recipes to get with it. I think it's important, like the word resentment means to refeel. So if I'm in resentment, that means I'm not present. So I would think the first step for me is to get into the present moment. Like if I'm, like I mentioned earlier in the show, if I'm having an argument that took place days ago, and I'm having it in my head now, am I really in the present moment? So, prayer works for me, connecting with my breath, meditation. There's millions of different types of meditation. In my opinion, there's only two kinds, the kind that I do and the kind that I don't do. I always like to allow a little bit of time to go by, so I'm not in a reactionary state, and I'm not trying to manipulate the situation. And it's always good for me to share with somebody else to give me a different perspective. I like to fix things. I like to control things. So letting go is allowing the universe to or God, or however you want to put it, to work out the details. So I think it's important for me to get it on paper, to get really clear, to share it with somebody that I trust, who is not scared to tell me what I don't want to hear, is willing to offer me a different perspective, and just sit on a couple of days, before I re-engage, or I could convince myself of anything. I could twist things around, in a million different directions to make myself right. But most of the time, if I give it a little time, I could see my part in that, and it's really good to sometimes attachment issues, and it's codependency. A lot of times I'll stay in a situation that causes me a lot of pain, and there's a certain amount of self-sabotage that goes into that. There's a certain amount of me thinking I know what I need, and if my life has demonstrated anything, is that I don't know what I need, and I'm always getting what I need. And it almost never looks what I think it's going to look like. So give it some time, maybe pray, maybe breathe, maybe get it on paper, share it with somebody else who you trust, who's willing to tell you the truth. And I don't think there's a right and wrong way to handle them. But one thing for sure is, if we're in resentment, we're not in the present moment. We're in the past.
It's a great tip, Joey. Putting it on paper, that's gold, mate. That's some of that real early day foundational stuff that makes such a huge difference. And it sounds like, and I know Lee is such an open-minded man, it sounds like he's appreciated that tip. And Lee, if I can just say, and for the audience, my experience with this stuff is, in my maybe the first 8 years of sobriety, dealing with resentments, the first one I always do, Lee, and is try and sort it out so I'd speak to him. And I think you just mentioned manipulation, Joey, and I think part of that is about manipulating the situation to suit me so that I feel okay with it. But then let's not forget that this is about me and about how I need to feel okay about it too. So these days, 12 years down the track, often I still want to talk about it, and often I will still approach it with a talk. But if that fails, I will then just pray and let it go, because some people don't deserve us to make the amends first. Like, if you're complete, anyway, I won't go into that side of it. But yeah, I think there's many different ways to deal with this. But I love putting it on paper, Joey. That's a good tip, mate. We've got people joining us from all over the world. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. Elizabeth, I'd love to. I will put a link up on the page shortly to the Share Tree character cards. Maybe, and if not, please feel free to direct message me later, and we'll get onto that. Lucas would love to join us again. Lucas is a legend. He's been on the show before, and thank you everyone for joining us. One of the things that I love, and this is service, Joey, what we do each week. We get on here, share our experience, and one of the big parts about it is to try and engage the audience and just carry the message of recovery. Service, mate. Service is where it's at. Service is the thing that it's it's that thing that you have to do, because addiction and alcoholism, I think, makes it's a self-centered disease. Yeah, it's that bit where we think it's all about me. In fact, I remember, and I've heard my mum share about this in interviews, that I used to think, like, I'm not hurting you, I'm only hurting me, you know. But when you get your head around that fact that far out, I do cause a lot of carnage to my family and my loved ones. And I start to implement that in my life today by just carrying the message to people freely without any expectation. What about that bit about service? When you do something, and if anyone out there is watching, please share your comments, but you do something for someone, right? And I often say this to people, but the minute you tell them that you did it, you just lost any points you got from the universe for going and helping someone. For example, pulling someone's washing out of the machine, folding it up and putting it up on their bed, right? I'm talking about it in rehab. And then they want to say that they did that. Mate, you just lost all your credit. You were doing well there for a second, but as soon as you told him that you did it, you just lost all your points. Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, man, it's you know, and you know, I know some people in my life who are service oriented, and they are always helping other people, and they allow their own self-care to fall through the cracks. So this is, like you mentioned before, Danny, there's a balance. Like, you know, in order to receive, we need to be giving, but there is a certain amount of self-love that needs to happen first. You know, it's, you know, if I'm constantly trying to help others all the time, and I'm not taking care of my own physical health, my own mental and emotional hygiene, you know, my spiritual condition, you know, I think that's a sickness in itself. So there's definitely a fine balance on how to do this. I like, you know, I just try to find really small ways I can make a difference, which is, like I said, in direct opposition of how my mind usually operates. My mind is like, okay, what can I get? Like, you know, when I do something nice for somebody, I'm usually expecting something in return. And you know, I'm just being completely honest. Like, I do, like, to do something for somebody without any expectations of anything in return is what really matters. And it doesn't have to be anything huge, even really small little things, like, you know, Danny said, giving somebody a smile, giving a genuine compliment, you know, holding the door for somebody. You know, I don't need to go out there and build a children's hospital. I just need to be outside of myself. You know, I need to be paying attention to other people also, but not at like, I'm a firm believer that you can't give or receive that you don't have, what you don't have. So I have to serve myself first, meaning, like, I need to be fit in order to give. So there's a certain amount of filling up of my own cup that needs to happen as well. And, you know, there's I'm kind of like I'm kind of like a brain geek, and I'm really fascinated with the brain, and you know, studies affirm that giving increases our well-being. It activates certain regions in our brain associated with pleasure, social connection, and trust. It decreases our stress and anxiety. It lowers our blood pressure. It releases those feel-good hormones. You know, that, you know, we're drug addicts. We know what that is. We get those dopamine hits. We get the endorphins flowing. We get the serotonin and the oxytocin flowing. Giving actually evokes gratitude. This is a show about generating gratitude. A good way to plug into the higher force of gratitude is to give, and it's also contagious. You know, when we give, we're not only helping ourselves and the recipient, it creates a ripple effect that affects everybody around us, including everybody in our community. And you wrote it in the post, Danny. In general, the more we give, the more we get.
You made me want to, like, I'd love to do an episode around exactly on that, about expressing our gratitude to another human being to improve our levels of happiness, because you just touched on this, that, but still, like you say, doing it without expectation, right? And well, I know we're taught to do that, but then it's a paradox, isn't it? Because ultimately we we keep what we have by giving it away, but we're doing it for us, so if it's a tough one to get your head around, that spirit of giving freely. It's actually easy for me today. I get it. Like, I totally get it today, that when I give freely, ultimately everything I do in my life, whether it's good or bad, at the end of the day it affects me in some capacity, doesn't it? So like what you were just saying about doing something for others and making us feel good, it does. And when we let people know the positive effects or the good things that they're doing, pay someone a compliment, even if it's someone behind the coffee counter who's giving you a coffee, like that's the stuff, the simple little ones that really we don't have an expectation of that one, do we? We go, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day. That kind of language really does. It's good for the spirit, So maybe one day we could do an episode around that topic a little more too, Joey, because another thing that I'm quite passionate about. What about some of the cliches out there around service? I know there's that one, service keeps you clean. I think I might have wrote that in the body of the post too. I remember thinking that in the early days, like, what are you talking about? Service keeps me clean. And the other one I love, and I feel like this is something I completely believe in, but the more I give, like the more effort I put out there to the world and give freely, the more that comes back, which goes back to what I was just saying around ultimately, I think I do everything ultimately for me, like if I can't acknowledge that I need to look after myself and love myself and be true to myself, all of this stuff is sort of done for no reason,
Yeah, I mean, we can't give to the point that we deplete ourselves or deny our spirit, because if we're doing that, we're not in a position to help anybody else. Um, I just it makes me think about my mom. Like my mom, like I don't know anybody who gives more than her. She literally, from the moment she wakes up, all she does is run around and give to people, which sets a really good example for me. But at the same time, yeah, it's unbelievable. But at the same time, it also, like, a lot of times she neglects taking care of herself, and like that doesn't, like that makes an impact on me also. Like, so like it's kind of like there needs to be a balance, and it is about getting outside of ourselves and being of service to others. But in order for us to be able to do that, there needs to be a certain level of self-preservation, not selfishness, self-preservation. So I need to be able, I need to be, getting enough rest. I need to be eating healthy. I need to be exercising. I need to be connecting, with, spiritually. I need to be managing my, my thoughts. I need to practice good emotional hygiene practices, and I need to be plugging into gratitude. And sometimes sometimes I need to do something nice for myself. I know for me, like when I was in early recovery, one of the things that we do is to look really closely at, resentments that we have. And to be honest with you, like after almost 22 years of active addiction, you would think I would have a whole pile of them. But like, I had one resentment, and it was me, and so like, learning to be gentle with myself was really important. Like, learning to acknowledge like what some of my gifts and some of my virtues and some of what I bring to the table and add to this world. It is super important, and in direct opposition of where my mind is normally focused. Like my mind is focused. I'm always looking at how I'm not enough. My brain is always looking at like what I screwed up, what I want that I can't have, what I have that someone's going to take. And it's like, I would literally, when people used to point out to me, something that I did well, or compliment me, or, point out to me areas where they noticed growth, it used to make me sick. Like I used to cringe when I heard that stuff. And for people who are used to living in these lower vibrational states, which, addiction is definitely one of them. And there's, depression, self-pity, victimhood, all those things. It feels really foreign, and our bodies and our brains and our cells will buck up against anything new, including, the good stuff. So it's really important to remember that there's a fine balance, and it's good to get outside ourselves, but not if we end up depleted, because then we're really of use to anybody.
Another great point, Joey. It's so true, and I love that you mentioned your mum, because it's the same with me. My mum is a machine around helping others, and constantly I'm saying, "Mum, fucking stop it! Like, you need to take some time for you." And my mum also says that this is what makes her happy. And you know what? If that's completely true, maybe that's their payoff. But I think looking after yourself, like, how long can we continue doing anything if we don't look after ourselves? Eventually, like you said, it will certainly have its negative effects. Joey, I just pulled out another character card. I want to. This one's around helpfulness. All right. The practice of helpfulness. And actually, before I do that, Elliot dropped a good statement here. Service is an act of gratitude, an act of connection, love, and compassion. Absolutely, Elliot. Thanks for sharing with us. And Joey, also part of the service that we are able to do, and I just want to give a shout out to anyone watching who isn't and who doesn't comment, but is watching our feeds each week and sending private messages to us to let us know. We really appreciate that. And this is the thing I love. Well, I love that about the internet today. And even if you think of some positives from COVID, there's been plenty of positives when we're talking about connecting with people from all over the globe. I know we've got Kenny here from Sugarland, Texas. There's been a couple of people from the States as well. And we've got a couple of people here today, Joey, from my local fellowship area as well. But the practice of helpfulness, right? I look for little ways to make life easier for others, not for us. Yeah. I do service without being asked. That goes back to that one I said earlier. And if you do it, you don't need to go and tell everyone about it. I offer my support in respectful ways. I give people what they need, not always what they want. Oh, that's like telling
I'm good at that one.
Yeah. You do what I say, not as I do. I allow others to be helpful to me. Boom, that's a good point. What you just touched on, Joey. Like, next time someone pays you a compliment, instead of being rude and going, "Oh, that's not true," just say thank you. It's something you can start to practice today, and it will become more easy as time goes on. And I strive to be a blessing to others. Helpfulness, very closely aligned to our character card around service too. Joey, we're at 40 minutes, mate.
Oh, wow, that went quick.
It did.
All right, so how do we wrap this up?
Hey, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Jess is one of our previous guests. You're a legend, Jess. And Lucas also mentioned he'd love to join us back on the show. Lucas, we'd love to have you.
Bring him on.
It'd be good to get Elizabeth and Smitty on the show too. These two are having a bit of a discussion in the background about their Latin. I think I think I didn't read the comments properly, but resentment is Latin to refeel. There was some discussion around that stuff too. But yeah, how do we wrap up the show? Hey, can I just, before we go here, I just want to introduce Leo.
Oh, you got the Leo.
This is
Leonardo. What's up, player?
I've got a daughter, and she made me get a cat. That's my excuse, to be honest. I've always wanted a cat. I can't have a dog here, so I've got Leonardo. Yeah, sorry, Joey. Go ahead.
That's a cool cat. What kind of cat is that?
That's a pretty cool cat, mate. Cool cat. That's a Siamese blue, a blue point. Wow. Siamese. Yeah. He doesn't shed hair. I can't stand hair on being on everything. So this cat doesn't shed hair apparently. Anyway, we'll see what happens when it gets bigger. Yeah. Joey, how do we wrap up the show, man?
We like to share a tip, a tool, a strategy, an exercise to plug into the higher force of gratitude. And I always like to remind everybody, and also hear myself say it, is that we don't need to be grateful to practice gratitude. Feelings of gratitude is a byproduct of the practice of gratitude.
Yes.
So, there's my go-to as a maintenance step, and it's something that as I talk about a lot, and Danny talks about a lot, is just to simply write in the morning and at night before I go to bed 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it's important for me to make those things small, seemingly insignificant things that I typically take for granted, things that I expect. Like, I need to remember that, like, because I have food in the refrigerator, like, because I have, running water, because I'm used to having a roof over my head and having transportation, and having money in my pocket that everybody does. So, like, these are things that I expect. These are things that if I'm living a relatively clean life, I normally have. Like, there's been times in my life when I've been on the street and couldn't rub 2 pennies together because of my own insanity. But that's just simply not where I'm at now, and that's not how I grew up. And so I take those things for granted. So I like to stretch a little bit outside of my comfort zone, not be writing the same things every day. I always go to, I'm grateful to be sober. I'm grateful to be in good health. I'm grateful to have the freedom to choose today. I try to stretch it a little bit further each time. And one more thing is, it's okay to put things on that list that aren't currently happening. Like, for instance, like, I'm grateful that I don't have cancer. I'm grateful that I don't have COVID. I'm grateful that I don't live on the San Andreas Fault. So it's like, it's good to get creative. It's good to stretch a little bit outside your comfort zone each time. I think when you get to that point and you're trying to find things to write down, that's when the window opens. Like, that's when the door gets cracked and the force of gratitude can flow in. Right when you're at that place where you're kind of thinking like, what am I grateful for? And just can't come up with that next one. That's the good shit right there. Like, right at that point is when it comes in. That's my tip.
It's great, Joey. Thank you so much for sharing. I couldn't agree more. Like, it's one of those things, how we start. It's the very beginning of starting to learn gratitude is a gratitude list. I say to the boys where I work, if I'm case managing someone, and I ask them to do a short gratitude list each day you can choose one from yesterday, but the other 4 need to be new ones, and they can be starting to identify those small things in life that we're grateful for. Maybe it's that I did drink my 2 liters of water today. Look, for me, my little tip, trick, hack is simply, and it's been mentioned already through the show, just around paying someone a compliment. Just look, and I say this because I've actually got a lot of evidence to support what I'm saying, how amazing it is to let somebody else know that the positive impact that they've had on your life. To pay somebody a compliment and let them know that you're thankful. To use a different word than grateful. That you are thankful for the impact of what they do. That little stuff, right? If you can do that every day, and I truly think I do this every day, Gary. And I think I've been doing this for a long time. It's not really something I have to think about. I love I love to make people smile, but if you can do this on a regular basis, ultimately we're giving back to mankind, to human beings, and this is where that term, the universe will provide, comes, I think, So I think there's a lot of shit out there, there's a lot of anger, resentment. There's not, and I'm sure there's a lot of beautiful happiness and love as well, but let me be that person who wants to share a little bit more love and gratitude with someone else and let them know the positive things that they're doing and the impact it has on me.
I love that. I could do better at that. And it's also some of the self-centeredness is like I don't like when people tell me, compliment me. It makes me uncomfortable. And I think it's some like underlying self-worth issue. And that doesn't mean that other people don't like it, So it's like for me to think, I think to myself, well, I don't like when people say kind things to me or point out things that I'm doing well or how I made a difference in their lives. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. But some people aren't as sick as I am. I'm going to practice that. I'm going to do that right away because I have so many beautiful people in my life. And you're right. There is a lot of shit out there, but for all the shit that's out there, there's a lot of truth, beauty, and goodness out there if we're paying attention.
There really is. And, the other side of that is the more part of that beautiful stuff you see, the more you see of it too, It's like we attract like attracts like, I often hear people talking about something negative or whatever, and I don't see it. In fact, there was a quote on Facebook yesterday that I commented on, and my comment was, I don't get it. Because actually it was a negative connotation that the image was having, but I actually didn't get it. It was something about your friends going silent when you're not there. And I thought, that's a good thing. They're acknowledging the good things in you, but apparently it's because they're talking behind your back or something. I don't know. But my point is, when I
don't get it either.
The positives come my way,
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Well,
right,
Danny, I could tell you, I'm going to practice right now. Like since we've met, you've made a tremendous impact on my life. I look forward to this every Thursday or Friday morning if you're over in Australia. And I'm really glad that we get this opportunity to spend some time with each other, share our experience, strength, and hope, and try to make difference in the world. And I'm super grateful for look at that. You just look at him smile. How could you not love this guy? Look at him. He's just smiling all the time. I told you, you got to be careful. We don't want to get that shit back into a cast. You almost blew it last time. You got to take a break on that smile once in a while.
Thank you so much, Joey. Well, see what I mean? Like, that just lit me up. That was beautiful. Thank you. This is a bit
I mean awkward. It, man. I mean it. I look forward to speaking to you. I look forward to seeing you. I'm so grateful that we're doing this together. Hey, man, it's one of the beautiful things. Like if we're focusing on gratitude, and I have a daily gratitude practice out of necessity, and because it's my number one spiritual tool, we attract like people. Like attracts like. So that's how we ended up linking together, and I'm grateful for that.
Mate, that's a beautiful thing to say, and I really do appreciate that. And I would like to return the compliment to you, and I just want to say to you that also, so there's a bunch of stuff that really lights me up about you, and one of those things is your passion for recovery that we both share, and also the idea that you're on the other side of the world, right? I've told you on many occasions that I'm obsessed with America, and certainly Jersey City, just across the river from New York City. So I love that you and I have built this friendship and this ability to reach out and chat anytime. And I'm very grateful for our friendship in that case, and also your ability to write. It's very impressive to me. I know I've complimented you on this probably every single week that you do write. I love the way you write. And guys, if you read the copy in today's post, I wrote that, not Joey. That's why it's actually probably not up to our regular standards. Not to minimize my shit, but
you did a good job.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Thank you, Joey. See, I keep accepting your compliment. Thank you, Joey. But yeah, and I think, yeah, look, I think we're doing amazing stuff, Joey. And if it wasn't for you, this show might not be going the way it is. You know, Own Your Gifts is a name that we can look. I could go on for ages, guys. Thank you so much for joining us once again. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great episode, Joey. Heaps of engagement, like I said, from all over the world. Hang around, Joey. I'll end the show, guys. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Next week, Joey's going to be going live on my account. On this account, I mean, on this account. Solo, going solo. Well, you're not going to be solo. You got a guest, haven't you?
Yeah,
Joey?
no, I got an amazing guest. Her name's Jen Russman, and I'm looking forward to introducing everybody to her. She's somebody who is really making a difference in the world, who's overcome adversity and has turned that adversity into strengths to be of service to others. And I'm really excited to have her on. Hopefully, I don't screw it up. I'm not really good at technical shit, but we'll see what happens.
You'll do well, Joey. That day I'm involved in a workshop. I've won a bit of a competition. I've been chosen as one of the 10 finalists to meet online all day with a bunch of expert coaches around building my business, which is something that I do every single day for the last almost 3 years. And I know you touched on that at the beginning. It's around that balance, But yeah, so. Guys, next week, Joey and his guest, Jen Russman, will be on the show. That's awesome. Joey, hang around a sec. See you later, guys. Thank you.